Welcome to Salbach in Austria, where EMBN, GCN and GMBN have spent the last week at the Global Bike Festival amidst some incredible trails, beautiful scenery, fantastic food.
And the sun.
And the sun. Chris, those jumps like quite big, right?
Yeah, it's an amazing spot to ride. Big drops, big gaps, wall rides. I'm in my element, and there's some big hills to keep you busy too.
I do. I actually like the snow line.
Yeah.
It's definitely for me just getting out of the way there and then coming back for a drop of cordon bleu and a strudel. I love it. And of course the sound of cowbells and sheep.
Well, the heat has definitely hit us here in Salbach, Austria, but there's some other hot news on the street, right, Steve?
Yes. Oh, crikey, relax yourself back there, Chris.
The release of that new Transition relay.
Yes,
Tell me all
the
about
relay,
it.
of course, the relay. Obviously now, Transition launched their full power repeater a few months ago with the Shimano motor, but only last week they came out with, as you mentioned, the relay. I think it's a great name.
It is, isn't it?
Great name. So the big news about the relay is they used the recently launched Fazua Ride 60 system. Now, Fazua have had a couple of updates in the past year with the existing Ride 50, and before that, they had the Ovation system, which we rode on the red rocks of the south of France on the Lapierre e-zesty bike. But this is, believe me, this motor is significantly different to the old Evasion system and the existing Ride 50.
It's got more power as well, hasn't it?
It has. It's got 60 Newton meters of torque. It definitely punches above its weight. Like I mentioned, it is different to the Ride 50. It comes with a 430 watt hour battery. There are 3 modes on the bike, and what's really cool about it is the way you operate the modes. It's like a ring. It's like a ring system, and it is so easy to use, Chris. It's like ridiculous. And then when you've got a really steep bank, you can actually push it one step further, and it gives you full boost for 7 seconds.
Oh, nice. So
I think it's a really cool feature.
Yeah.
But in terms of the bike, now Transition obviously have made fantastic looking bikes over the years. This bike comes in either carbon or aluminium, and there's actually 2 versions. There's a 160 version, which uses 29-inch wheels front and rear, and then there's a version called the PNW, Pacific Northwest, which is got 29 front, 27.5 rear, as mentioned, and 170 mil travel. Now, the battery is 430 watt hours, great range on the battery, and it's easily removable from the down tube. Now, I think Transition have been working on this bike for a long time. I mean, they put the repeater out, but I think this is the bike this is the bike they really, really wanted to put out. This is going to be, I think, their flagship bike. What's bonkers to me is it's actually not that much different in terms of the shape and form to
the Spire.
Is it the Spire bike?
Yeah,
and certainly when you're riding it. Now, I think people talk about these lightweight e-mounted bikes. I don't think the weight really is as important as the way that the brands have the suspension system. And, you know, Transition have got the giddy up. So I think the clue there is in the title. And it's a lively bike for sure. And yeah, it's beautiful. But like I said, I think the key thing with the relay is the new Fazua motor. The Ride 60 is a lot different to the older Evasion system.
Transition are actually calling it the mountain biker's e-bike. So I think the idea of this bike is there's kind of 2 into 1. So you can remove that battery and have pretty much like a standard mountain bike, can't you? The weight of that tiny motor.
If you wanted to.
If you wanted to. But I think, you know, places like this, if you want to take the battery out and you're doing lift days and you want maybe...
You could do, but this very much, the relay is very much a mountain bike. It's you know, you wouldn't need the chairlift. I mean, yes, you could if you wanted to, but...
I guess in 2 different price points with the aluminium and the carbon version as well. So how about extenders? Is there an extender for this system?
You caught me. You caught me out. Is there? I think there could be, but the 430 watt hour battery is so dinky. It is like, you know, it's 2 Coke bottles in your backpack.
And it does sound small, but we've seen quite often on the channel, those lighter, lower powered e-bikes definitely go the distance, don't they? So,
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, great
but folks, we have got some big in-depth stories from Fazua over the next few weeks, both in terms of the motor, behind the scenes, and some of the bikes that are going to be using the system, as well as, of course, the Transition bike. Nice. And I got a bit of a sneak ride in it, Chris.
Did you? Oh, you lucky man.
It's cool. It is very cool. But Chris, we have got some even more hot news this week, haven't we?
Yeah, we have. We've got a new protection sponsor, protecting us and keeping us safe out on the hills.
Yeah, G-Form.
One of the biggest names in sports protection out there, decided to help us out with some protection.
Yeah.
Knee pads, gloves, back protectors, we've got it all going on.
Absolutely everything going on there. I mean, these in my hand here are the E-line knee pads. I really like that rubber material there.
So there's this designed for actual e-bike use as well as standard mountain bike use. Really good system on this as well. You don't have to mess around, take your shoes off, take your socks off to get them on. You just clip them on, you've got a zip on there as well. And I rode these on some of the biggest jumps and definitely put my mind at rest knowing I was protected.
Is your mind ever at rest, Chris?
No. And the gloves as well, super thin, nice control, they're not super bulky. Loving all that stuff.
There you go, folks. That took literally seconds to do.
Can't wait to go and shred the trails in these.
My shorts are a bit short today, but I'm sure you
shorts.
get the idea, folks. I mean, out here, big jumps, big downhill sections, and more than that, when we get to ride e-bikes in such terrain as the limestone rocks, I mean, falling down on that is gonna cut you open, isn't it?
Simple knee of the stem or something. It does, it's always good to wear that protection out on the trails, keep you safe.
So, as I said, hot news, but there's more, isn't there?
Yeah, Garmin have just released the new Edge 1040 head unit, and this thing in the solar edition is looking pretty crazy. It's really sleek as well. The crazy thing about this is 1 hour of sunlight, you can actually get 42 minutes of power back into the unit. So if you're going out on those big epic rides like you love, you're never going to get a flat battery on this.
You do love it, Chris. You do love it.
And along with features such as Climb Pro, which is a feature on this which allows you to know how much of the hill you've got remaining in front of you. It's got, of course, all the grit and flow, MTB dynamics, and of course that jump counter on there, which which you love as well. It's a great bit of kit, and these are costing you £629. But I think the navigation you get with this unit as well.
Off the charts.
Is literally off the charts.
You get that one, Joey?
And it'll literally be able to tell you every single thing about your ride. So if you're into all that data, definitely get one of these.
And time now for Where in the World, and it could not be more where in the world than here in Salbach, Austria. Chris, you must have been loving those jumps last week.
Yeah.
Scared the living daylights out of me.
Huge stuff. Never hit stuff like that for probably about 10 years. So really good to blow the dust off those huge jumps for sure.
Yeah, folks, fantastic place to come and sample the mountains, the food, and the fantastic climate down here in Austria. But moving to where you guys have been, and kicking things off is this beautiful shot from the Isle of Harris on the McLeod Stone. Now, Harris, what a beautiful place for clear water and white sandy beaches.
Looks like an epic place to go riding, isn't it? Ray's been loving his day out, apparently. 9 p.m. as well, that was shot, so late in the day. Yeah,
and moving a bit further south now to the Cairngorms. This is Beanabird, or Beanabird, I think.
Beanabird in the Cairngorms from Brian. He's out on his Levo Expert. 3 nights camping as well on this trip, so looks like he's been getting out there.
Before looking like he's moving on to Heartbreak Ridge there, out in the eastern part of Scotland. Moving now across the Atlantic Ocean and across America to California, to Morgan Hill. Interesting sort of Fazua here, Chris. This is in the sort of golden sort of hills around Morgan Hill. Obviously Morgan Hill, the home of specialised mountain
been there
bikes.
A few times, Steve. Fazari Wire Peak. He's got loads of custom parts on there. He's been out cool flow trails, seeing the cows, deers, bobcats right next to Coyote Lake, one side overlooking Morgan Hill. Doesn't sound like it gets much better than that.
Can't beat a good old bobcat. You know, I won't go into it, doesn't matter. That's a story for another day. And finally, this is the Brecon Beacons shot, close to home here, not far from the Gap.
Got Lee out on his Cube Stereo Hybrid 160, a little detour from the Gap trail up to the summit of Van
Abeeg.
Oh, okay, Van Abeeg.
Folks, fantastic shots there from you guys, particularly like the Isle of Harris shot. I think that's I think that typifies a great e-mountain bike adventure. So yes, looking forward to what you guys have been up to next week. Some comments from Chris's 9 things not to do on an e-mountain bike last week. This first up is from Joel Zeev, which says, great stuff, and remember to change your ride in Strava's e-bike ride. Good point.
Almost automatically does that now, so that's pretty good.
And then Scott says, haha, lay off the turbo. Heck, man, that is why I bought my e-bike. Well, do you know what? Why not go in turbo? It's actually quite interesting. I recently rode the new Canyon Spectrum, the 900 watt in turbo for over 3 hours.
What?
Over 3 hours.
I think it's kind of our old school of thinking, like when the batteries were smaller, it was always like a bit of a sin, wasn't it?
So that's a maybe and a maybe not. And then finally from Zevon Brown is, I let my battery cool down for a bit prior to charging after a long ride rather than immediately throwing it on the charge. That's interesting, isn't it?
So it's more not to let it cool down, it's to let the batteries go from a state of discharge to a state of being able to recharge. So it's just that little period. It doesn't need to be a long time, but always like half hour after a ride, it's always good to just give it a bit of a break rather than plugging it straight back in.
Good advice. Solid advice there.
Right, it's time for Tech of the Week to see what you guys have been building out in your sheds. And we've got this really interesting bike. Clean, isn't it, Steve?
Do you know what? This is definitely from Chuck, and certainly a man after Ray, a man Ray's own heart, I think.
Definitely.
So clean.
It looks like almost like a factory sort of stock bike, but it was originally just an old school hardtail.
It was a Scott scale, wasn't it?
Yeah,
and he
Scott
built
scale.
on the fan kit there. I mean, this shows this. You can get an e-mounted bike for, you know, well, I don't know, Chuck, how much you paid for the Scott scale, but you know, you should be looking at sub £1,000 for a home built kit. Definitely, really. Yeah.
And he's
and really capable. Definitely really capable.
And he's saying about the price of gas and petrol at the minute, this is going to be his new commuter as well. So saving, you know, perhaps that money that he'd be spending on petrol and putting it towards this bike, and bam, you've got an e-bike and you saved a load of cash. Yeah. And you've got a fitter. What's not to like about it?
I see more and more people doing this. Folks, if you any doubts or any questions about any home built kits, we've got a ton of those on the channel, which Ray has masterminded. So yeah, go and have a look at those for
keep getting all
insight.
That tech, all those climbs, anything you want to hear on the EMBN show, use the upload service, and details for that are down below.
Chris, I've noticed in the last few weeks in the bike faults, you and the Don and Martin have got slightly sidetracked. I think, folks, the aim of the bike fault is hot or not, right?
Hot or not?
Well, is it nice or super nice? So let's focus in on that this week, folks. And kicking things off is this particularly nice lap here. And I think it's beautifully shot. It looks to me like it's in Dartmoor, Chris, to me.
Yeah, Shelley's been out for a big day out of the hubby after an epic weekend at Bike Park, Wales. Yeah. The legs are stretched.
Anyhow, nice or super nice? I think that's super nice.
Hot or not?
Super nice to me.
Super nice, definitely.
Ding ding with the cowbell. And this next up is the decoy.
Yeah, from Steve. He's out in Hungary on the river Zageva.
Yeah, a little bit shady, that shot, Chris. Not shady as in there's some shade on the bike. So I think that's a nice shot. Definitely. But this one in Prescott, Arizona, a Orbea Wild. Yeah. I mean, it's beautiful, isn't it? What a stunning place to ride an e-mountain bike.
Amazing, doesn't it? Got some interesting bars on the go on that as well.
It's got to be super nice, isn't it?
Definitely.
In terms of the shot of the bike.
And the riding, the riding, the back drop, everything. David here of Orbea Rise out in Jersey on the Channel Islands, riding the Cliffs Path in a sunny Jersey. But you've bumped into Richard Payne out there on his trails. What do you think to that one, Steve?
Up to you, Chris. Up to you.
It's got to be another super nice.
Super nice. And I think this next one is definitely super nice. A Rocky Mountain out in
BC.
BC. Definitely super nice there. And next up is something that looks like close to home to me. This looks like Welsh action.
North Yorkshire Moors. Ray out on his QB 160. Couldn't wait to get out on a new bike, so went out straight away as soon as got it. Blasting a big lap out. Looks lush there, doesn't it?
I think that's a beautiful shot, and that is deservedly of a super nice thing.
Right, got some more Dartmoor action this time on Hater Rocks from Dave on his Canyon.
Is it Hater or Hator?
I don't know. Hator, I suppose, isn't it?
Hator.
On his Neuron, Canyon Neuron.
I think Joey's from Dartmoor, isn't he?
Is he?
I told you.
There you go.
Joey behind the lens there.
Out with his mate Sean.
Out in sunny Salbach.
Big ride, 34 miles on the clock. And they can't beat a bit of action out of Dartmoor. It's nice to see you doing a no-handed stoppy thing up a rock.
Let's not go there, shall we? Let's not go there, Chris.
Super nice.
And finally, we have got this is a show of wild Orbeas, isn't it?
Pretty much. There's lots out there, isn't there, by the looks of it? Danilo out in the Black Mountains. Big climbs, big descents.
I knew it.
That is what it's all about out in the Black Mountains, isn't it?
I knew it. It's got to be super nice for me.
Yes. I think we've got one more left, Steve.
Right.
With a bit of dog action as well. Daryl's out on his Voodoo E-Zubop bank holiday weekend in Dartmoor, Devon. Well, you guys have been smashing out in Dartmoor.
Joe, have you seen involvement in this show? I think so.
Out with his girlfriend Sharon and dog Luna, the sausage dog, and the Labrador, having an amazing day out. And I think, again,
that's super nice, right?
Super nice with a shot like that. Love seeing all those bikes, don't we here? Don't forget, if you've got any bikes, use our upload service to get involved.
And folks, Dartmoor, particularly great place to go and ride an e-mounted bike, but please watch the river crossings. There's lots of stepping stones out in Dartmoor.
And they're quite deep, aren't they?
They're actually ridiculously deep.
And they can be quite slippy.
Me and Chris actually did a ride there a few years ago. Check that video out on the channel if you haven't already seen it. So yeah, Dartmoor, Joey, top place. So as the town band plays us out of this week's EMBN show from Salbach in Austria, we've had a great time here, Chris, haven't we?
It's been super sunny, hasn't it? Loving it.
Particularly like the cordon bleu and the apple strudel, I have to say. But folks, let us know what you think of the all-new Transition relay and the new Fazua Ride 60. Really happy, folks, that we've got a new protection partner in G-Form. Going to see the range of kit they have on their channel. Yeah. And I guess we'll see you back in the sunny studio of England.
Yeah, well, I'll be there. You might not be back out in the sun again, I'd imagine.
I'll be in some building, I think, in Germany.
See you next week.